here we are. Let's figure some things out. Okay, so how's everybody doing? Welcome to my first appearance on Twitch ever. I hope I don't screw up too badly. Yeah, it is. Welcome. Nice to have you on board. And I hope everyone can hear me well. Oh, everything's fine. Currently still figuring things out as I'm not experienced with Twitch at all. But yeah, we will find out as we go. Perfect. Thanks. Yeah, sure. So yeah, for everyone who is actually here by accident, the thing I will be talking about is nut.js, which is a Node.js desktop automation framework, which is available for basically every major platform. So you can use it on macOS, on Linux, and on Windows. And I'm about to release a new major version, which I will present here today. So I'm not yet fully finished. I have to write a lot more documentation. But with regards of implementation, it's pretty much feature complete, or it is feature complete as of today. And as I wanted to let you know which eventually breaking changes may await you, I thought I will do a live stream, because I've been curious about doing a live stream, as I haven't done it before. So if it sounds interesting to you, you are welcome to stay. And for those interested, this is the link to the product or project page, which is soon to be updated. So it still reflects the current state, but will be updated in the near future. Okay. So maybe as a little explainer for those who do not know nut.js as of now, I guess it would be okay to start with a little pseudo coding along with the current latest version, just to explain things, how things work, so that you get a little feeling about what we're talking about. And let me increase my screen size a bit. Is it okay for you? Can you read everything? In total, the 2.00 milestone now contains 21 closed tickets, which is both new features and bug fixes. Just to make sure. Move that a little to the left. So what do we have here? That's basically just an empty npm project I created before the stream, and it has nothing in it except tsnode and TypeScript for now. And to give you a little impression what nut.js actually looks like, let me start by installing the latest version of nut.js. So there we are. 1.70 is the latest stable version of nut.js. And now let's look at the actual contents of this magical box we just installed. So nut.js allows you several things. It allows you to basically automate your mouse, your keyboard, your clipboard, or it gives you access to your system's clipboard, and it allows you to work with screen content, which is particularly useful in combination with mouse movement, which I will show you in a few minutes. And the key components for doing all this in nut.js are the following instances. So we have a mouse instance, we have a keyboard instance, and we have a screen instance. And now let's look at what we're able to do with it. Let's write an async immediately invoked function. So we could use modules here, but that's also fine for me. A workaround to use await or async syntax. So let's say we want to move our mouse. And our mouse instance has a method attached called move. And this move method accepts a list of points where we want to go. So let's say we want to go to point 0.0. That would be the upper left corner of my screen. And you see the hot corner is active because my mouse magically warped into the upper left corner. And it would also be possible to say, next we want to move to 10.10, 20.20, and so forth. So it essentially, you just provide a list of points and your mouse will visit each of them. So now you see we have a little offset on the upper left corner, which is point 2020 in X and Y. Now that's fine, but nut.js has usability in mind, and when I started developing it, I thought to myself, well, it's nice to be able to follow along a path, but it's pretty cumbersome to come up with what the path looks like. So in general, when you try to automate your desktop, you simply want to say, okay, move my mouse to the left, to the right, to the top, or whatever, which is why I came up with a so-called movement API. And if we now take a look at what happens if we say we want to move left for 100 pixels. And of course, let's import that. And we say npm start. We can see that our cursor will move 100 pixels to the left. And we can continue with that and say we want to go down, we want to go right, and we want to go up again. And now look what happens. We are running in a rectangle. Yes, it's really now 2012 at the place where I'm living. And currently it is limited to the main display, so to your main screen of your system. That's one of the features which will be addressed in maybe a next major release, or yeah, even a minor release maybe. But at the moment it is limited to a system's main display. Dealing with multiple displays is not so easy as it sounds. Let's phrase it like that. Okay, what else can we do with our mouse movement? So what we've seen so far is basically mouse movement in straight directions. So we can go to the left, to the right, to the top, or to the bottom, relatively to our current mouse location. But that's still not what I thought is really good usability, because you would still have to figure out, okay, where do I have to go? So another thing I came up with is the following. I always imagined an API that allows me to basically phrase what I want to achieve. And to me, this sounds like I want to move my mouse straight to a point, let's say 500, 450. So I'm basically telling my mouse to move straight to the given point relative to where my cursor is located at the very moment I'm executing this function. And it just moves there in a straight line. So it's also, we can go, let's switch it up a little bit and go to like 950 npm start. Yeah, so in order to speed things up a little bit, our mouse instance is also configurable. So we can, for example, say mouse.config. So every instance has his own config property. That's the same for the keyboard, for the screen, and for the mouse. So with this config property, you can basically control things like, in this example, mouse speed. And mouse speed in nut.js is specified in pixels per second. So let's say we want to move with 2000 pixels per second. Went a little faster. Let's spice things up even more. Let's say we want to move with 4000 pixels per second. So that's basically the general way of moving around your mouse within nut.js. I just noticed that as well. Let me check. I thought it was configured. Now there's a chat. Thanks for the hint. Okay, let's continue. Where did we leave off? Yes, so far we had a look at mouse movement. Let's see what we can do with our keyboard. Our keyboard gives us the ability to type either single keys or strings. And let's start with typing a key first. Key dot. Let's import that as well. Key dot return. And then let's say wait keyboard dot type. Let's see how that works out. So it basically sends single key presses to your current active window in that example. So it's at the moment not possible to send keyboard input to any particular window, so it's always using the main window, because it just inserts key press events in your input source, sending events to any particular window is something for the future, but at the moment it is limited to the current active window. So it allows you to type, and since this was rather slow, we can take a look at the config. And the keyboard config has a property called auto delay milliseconds, which basically is the delay between single key presses. And if we set that to 0, no, the focus was not on the main window. Let's do that again. It will just type without any breaks, but it's still depending on how fast your system processes the input events. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you, to give you a head start about what nut.js is all about, is what we can do with our screen. And let me resize my window a bit. So you can see this little play button up here. And oops. So we have a little target image in our project now as well. So it's just at the root of the project folder. And now let's say we want to look for this image on our screen. And then we tell nut.js just screen.find, and our file is called target.png. And then we say, give us the location of the console. That's fine for now. Okay. So we are seeing an error message here that we are requiring a matching confidence. So the let's say the probability to which we are sure that we found the correct image of 99%, but we can only say to 92% that we are sure. For this case, nut.js screen instances allow you to also apply configuration, which is a confidence of, let's say, 0.92. And now let's try that again. And we see we have a region object, which is returned at x coordinate 127, top 41, width 47, height 47. So that sounds reasonable. Now the problem is these coordinates are pretty hard to debug for the human eye because we can't measure our screen. At least not that easy, by just giving it a glance. So what nut.js has is it provides a highlight function. So we can say we want to highlight a particular region, and the region we want to highlight is the result of the call to screen.find we did in the line above. So let's say screen.find and screen.highlight. And we see a really short highlight up there with a translucent overlay. Let's say we want to make that a little easier to detect. Opacity. I'm always messing it up. Should be this way. Yep. So there was this little red icon, or the little red overlay, which tells us at this position we found what you were looking for. But having to do this every time you look for an image is pretty heavy on copy paste. So what nut.js has as well is, hey, let's do an auto highlight. So whenever you find anything, I'm looking for, show me where it is. And it highlighted the region we were looking for. Perfect. Now, as Granola mentioned in the chat earlier, what's the path with the center of? That's a pretty useful function, because using the combination of mouse movement and detecting images on your screen, you can do things like await mouse.move. I want to go straight to the center of a particular region. And for this particular region, we can just say we use our location. And now if we say npm start, we see that our mouse moves to the center of the image we just found on our desktop, which makes mouse movement pretty decent to use, because you can just provide an image you're looking for, and then it will magically transfer your mouse to where it is located. And since this API is basically reusing function composition all over the place, you can also do target.png and get rid of that and that. To move things around. Now, what if the image we are looking for is not visible? It will throw an exception. Nut.js also takes care of this, because it is possible to use a wait for. And wait for is basically has almost the same interface as find. So you provide the name of an image you're looking for, but you can also provide a timeout in milliseconds. So let's say you want to wait for 5 seconds for the image to appear. Then you can say npm start. And now if we move the window aside, it will locate the image on the updated screen and move the mouse towards it. So that's basically a short refresher on what nut.js is capable of. Oh, sorry, I didn't pay too much attention on the chat. What are my VS Code extensions? I have quite a few, actually. So pretty much stuff I'm using for developing native Node add-ons. But yeah, also some stuff to play around with. Flutter in my free time, for example, or a little bit of Go. Indent Rainbow is quite nice because it gives you a little nice overview on the indentation level, and things like JS test runners and stuff like that. But not that special, not that much special stuff, I guess. Okay. So if there are no more questions, or no questions so far, what do you mean by debugging in real time? So you mean something like listening to the system bus, which messages get inserted and stuff like that? Yeah, so you can debug libnut. This is basically a combination of hooking up GDB to the node process you are running your test in, for example, and then you are able to add breakpoints to your native code, as long as you have a debug build of your native add-on. But that's possible, yes. And where is my water? Here. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about what drawbacks nut.js has in its current latest version. Because all the stuff I just showed you is under the assumption that you are running a setup which is compatible. This means I'm currently running a Node 14.18.1. Now let's say I want to say nvm install Node 17. And we do an npm start again. It will horribly fail because we have a version mismatch. So the way or the library used to achieve all this image matching magic, as I would call it, is OpenCV for Node.js. And OpenCV for Node.js is a native Node add-on which is dependent on a particular Node version you are using. So you have to provide a specific binding suitable or compatible with the Node version you want to use it with. So it's not possible to use, as we see in this example, a native Node add-on which is compiled for Node 14 with Node 17. And that's a major drawback because it means that I have to provide specific bindings for every Node version I want to support, and also for every Electron version I want to support. So if you want to use this Node add-on with Electron, you have to use a particular set of specifically compiled bindings suitable for Electron. And since the Electron team stepped up its release schedule to every 8 weeks, that's quite the pace to keep up with. And that was one of the major motivations to do things I just did to come up with a new major release of nut.js. Because so far what we have seen here is you install nut.js and you have everything out of the box. So you can use it right away. You have all the image matching capabilities, you have all the capabilities to remote control your mouse and your keyboard and what so forth. But this also comes with the limitation that if you do not have a suitable Node version, it will fail right away. So it will fail as soon as you try to install nut.js. The only workaround to mitigate this problem is that you have to recompile all the bindings yourself. So you would have to provide a C++ compiler toolchain. You would have to install CMake on your system. You would have to install Python 2 or now let's say Python, and in order to use Node.js. And once you have all this set up, you can recompile the bindings such in a way that they are suitable for your Node installation, which is not really user-friendly if you try to provide a framework which can be integrated into third-party libraries with ease. So let's say you do not want your users having to recompile a binary add-on which is deeply nested in transitive dependencies somewhere in the Node modules folder. You just want to say npm install and everything is there right away. And a huge amount of issues I have to repeatedly answer and close on GitHub are targeting things like I'm unable to install it. And then it's a ping pong. Which Node version are you using? Which Electron version are you using? And so forth. And that's why I decided that I want to change things a little bit. So let's see what happens if we do not use the latest stable version of nut.js, but the current snapshot. And for this demo, I will switch back to Node 14. Let's install the snapshot again. Okay, and now let's see, what do we have here? So the first difference we can see is that it's no longer enough to just pass a string specifying the file name of the image we are looking for, but it has now to be provided as a so-called image resource. The way how these image resources are gathered is always, or is still the same as it used to be before. So our screen has a config property which is called a resource directory, and this resource directory defaults to your current working directory. But it is also possible to configure any folder you like. And all the images or all the file names you specify via this image resource are loaded relatively to this resource directory. That's also how this target.png ends up being located in our current working directory. Now let's say we want to create a new folder called assets and move our target there. We could configure our resource directory to be located in the assets folder in our current working directory. That would also be fine. Or something like no, let's skip that. And let's see what happens. npm start. Nothing happens. Why? If we look at the error output down here, we see that searching for assets.target.png failed because no image finder is registered. So this already gives us a notion of what one of the major changes in version 2.0 is. Nut.js is no longer a single package you install, and it has batteries included, so basically gives you everything out of the box. But it now has a plugin system. So it's possible to provide your own plugins, and an image finder is one of those. So you have now the ability to basically write your own logic to detect images on your screen. And if you follow a particular exported interface, you are able to basically just wire your plugin up to nut.js, and screen.find will now magically use your implementation. So if you want to write your own implementation, which is really, really tweaked onto finding, I don't know, Waldo on any particular image, then this is now possible. You do no longer have to rely on the template matching logic I implemented myself. However, you are still free to do so, because let's look at what happens if we say npm install template matcher at next. So that is basically all the code previously contained in nut.js, which was installed as soon as you installed the whole package, just moved into its own plugin. And the way how we can use this is pretty simple. We just say we want to import, do not reformat. We want to import the template matcher. Ah, there it is now. So having this plugin installed magically solves all our previous problems. So we have an implementation back in place and it just works as it did previously, with the additional flexibility that it's now possible to provide your own implementation if you want to. The same holds true for, let's say, keyboard interactions. So if you are unhappy with that you are not able to type Unicode input on, for example, Linux or Windows at the moment, because I hadn't had the time to implement it properly, it is now possible to provide your own plugin, which reuses some third-party tool to do the actual Unicode keyboard input and wire that up to nut.js. So your keyboard.type now uses your custom implementation and allows you to type Unicode. And the same is also true for mouse movement. So it's basically possible to replace every low-level implementation which is contained in nut.js. You can provide your own implementation for keyboard, for mouse, for clipboard management, for window management, whatever, you name it. So everything which is available in nut.js is with version 2.0 exported as a proper plugin interface. And if you implement this interface, it's possible to hook it up to nut.js. And as I mentioned, window management, let's see what that has. What's up with that? Get active window. And so what did we do here? Active window is pretty self-explanatory. So it gives you the currently active window instance. In our case, this is my VS Code instance here. And as you can see in the console output, the current window title is index.js for my Twitch demo I'm currently presenting to you. And you also saw this little flashing red overlay, and it's also possible to retrieve the current active window region. And we could now pair this with move straight to our window region. Back again, here we are. And so this is also something you are free to implement on your own if you want to. So if you, for example, want to limit the amount of windows retrieved, because it's also possible to get a list of all open windows, which includes literally every window at the moment. So even even little sub windows, because every icon you see on the macOS toolbar up here is basically a window on its own. And if you want to tweak this retrieval logic, this is now also customizable via a third-party plugin. And if you just hook it up to nut.js via simply importing it, you are able to basically tweak nut.js to all your specific needs without having me to take care of any issues. So you are free to publish your own plugin and maybe keep it in your company internal NPM registry, but it's still possible to hook it up to an existing code base with no problem. Okay, so we already saw that screen.find now requires that you wrap your image names in this image resource. What this image resource basically does, it only loads the image you specified via file name here from the resource directories you specified up here. It would now also be possible to say my own image is, let's say, load image from assets target.png. So instead of receiving a string, the find implementation now actually expects an image instance within nut.js. And let's remove the stuff down here. And this way it won't work. And it still works. So you can basically take care of image loading on your own, and it won't happen every time you look for an image, because with in the current latest version of nut.js, all this image loading is still taken care of by find, and find is reused within wait for. So if you repeatedly search for an image on your desktop, it would repeatedly load this image from your file system, which is now no longer the case. So you get back control. And it's also possible to just say, hey, I want to save an image. The data would be my own image, and the path would be let's call it image resource. And now we have written our image back to disk. So with the 2.0 release of nut.js, you basically get more fine-grained control over how your data is actually loaded. So you're able to decide whether you want to use your own custom loading implementation or mechanism, or you just rely on the existing functionality that you provide a resource directory and just load stuff from relatively to there. But using particular images is more expressive than just passing strings around, which happen to be file names. So it's more expressive, in my opinion. And at least to me, the API usage doesn't change that much, because if you want to migrate from 1.7 to 2.0, you basically have to wrap your file name in an image resource in parentheses. So that's fine for me. And but there is even more, because so far we were only dealing with one single instance. But let's keep the image. But what if we say all results is wait screen dot find all? Let's start that again. Oh, oops, I deleted the configuration. Confidence is 0.92. Let's format and oops, start. There it is, our beloved image instance. But now let's see what happens if we magically add a second instance. Still, there's only one element in the array. And that is not actually a problem of nut.js itself, but it is a limitation of the template matching finder. So at the moment, it is not capable of finding more than one instance of an image you provide. This is also kind of a drawback, but leads me to something I want to show you as well. Because I have not only been working on getting all this plugin infrastructure in place, but something more. And let's look at that right now. So now we are no longer using the template matching finder, but the new and improved next level matcher, which is still a work in progress, but is soon to be finalized. So npm start. Let's look what happens. Let's tweak the confidence value a bit. And you see we have an array of at least 2 inputs. Now let's spice things up a little bit. Let's minify that one. Let's take a look at it this way. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 instances. And if we switch back to VS Code, we can now say, okay, we want to move our mouse. Each of these results. And before we move our mouse to it, we want to also highlight what we have. So let's look at it. So with this new and improved matcher, we are now able to work with, in theory, unlimited template instances. So we are able to detect several instances of a template image on screen, and then you're able to determine on your own whether you want to use the first one or the one with the highest probability, whatever. You are free to choose how you want to process this list. But in general, it gives you even more matching capabilities, because it also has been rather random which of the regions has been returned previously. And okay, so we are 1 hour in. I have one more trick up my sleeve I want to show you. And therefore I will install another plugin. And let's get rid of a few of these imports. Okay, so far we are able to say screen dot find, for example, or find all. Now let's import another plugin, and magically, whoa, we are able to read from our screen. So what does that mean for us? Let's get rid of this loading stuff, and let's say we want to, let me determine where we are here. 450 by, that's pretty hard to read. And we want to read 500 pixels in width and 300 pixels down. And our on-screen text is now await screen.read from our target zone. Our screen region within target zone. And in order to make visible what's happening, let's say screen.highlight our target zone. And it would be nice to see the output. So what we see here is basically the full text contained within within the area we highlighted. Of course, it's not fully perfect yet, because optical character recognition always relies a little bit on contrast and generally font size, whatever. But it, at least for now, gives you the possibility to get a glance of what is happening or what is written on your screen. And it's also possible to specify something like we want to use not the whole text at all, but at once, but we want to have the text split it on every word, for example. So now if we take a look at it, we see that it basically tries to split on every white space, and it gives you the text it read plus a confidence of how sure it is that this was actually the correct text it parsed. So this also gives you the possibility to filter outliers. Because if you look at this, it did not fully recognize our 300 up here, but it thought that it was 30 cents, if I interpret that correctly. And for stuff down here, which is obviously wrong, you see that it also has a pretty low confidence, so it is rather easy to filter these outliers. Same holds true for context down here. And while implementing this, I came up with a funny experiment I wanted to try. And the thing I thought about was, if I'm able to basically gather the text content I have on my screen, what can I do with it? And that's how I came up with the following idea. Let's say we want to look for text code, and in this particular example, let's say we want to look at it in the upper right, in the upper left corner. I know that this is rather staged, but it's more like a proof of concept than an actual fully working and thoroughly tested implementation. I just want to give you a little sneak peek of what is possible. Then let's say we want to log our possible regions. And that looks pretty promising. So we are receiving an array of possible locations, and in this rather staged example, let's say we want to move our mouse to the detected region. Let's see how that works out. Rather good, I would say. And from this, we can now, let's say, mouse dot left click. We could now theoretically continue to, let's say, open the menu, search through the menu using text, whatever. So it is a little bit more flexible than using image search because you do not have to provide screenshots. Screenshots are, I would say, a little bit error prone because you have to keep them up to date, and as soon as your UI changes just a little bit, they might be off. With text, you can basically just say, okay, I provide you text input. It's easier for me to update it. It's easier for me to keep it, to keep it updated. So this is definitely something I want to spend more time on it. But overall, this is it. So regarding your question, yes, I will update the documentation on the website. So in particular, this is also the reason why nut.js 2.0 is not released yet. So that's the last part, or the last topic on my agenda, which I have to complete first before I'm doing a release. Because all this new stuff is not, it's not that usable if I'm still providing outdated documentation. And the second big change, which is also happening with the release of 2.0, is that the two plugins I just showed you will not be open sourced because it takes a tremendous amount of time to maintain and develop these things. But they will be provided to sponsors of the project, which will allow me to basically keep the project maintained, as this is all happening in my spare time, and I'm still a full-time employee plus a husband and father. So, well, this whole open source thing is pretty nice, but after I did a survey with nut.js users, I realized that, well, nut.js has quite a large user base of companies already. But unfortunately, most of these companies are not willing to either contribute to the project or sponsor the project, which is rather unfortunate because this whole open source thingy does not work this way. So, well, that's why I ultimately decided that I will not provide everything I'm doing here for free. So if you decide you want to use any of the plugins I'm providing myself, so let's call them official plugins developed by me, you will gain access to it if you start sponsoring the projects via GitHub sponsoring. But in general, all the existing functionality is still open source and provided for free use. And so yeah, generally that's it. Do you have any open questions, or do you want to know more about the project, or feel free to ask. Let me know. I will be here for longer. Let's call it like that. Yes, that would be nice. So if you could push it to a branch. And the one question I have regarding that is it cross-platform compatible? So would it be usable across all three major platforms? Oh, nice. Yeah, then I will definitely love to take a look. So if you push it to a branch somewhere, let me know. Post it on Discord or yeah, give me an email, a DM on Discord, whatever floats your boat. But I am looking forward to having a look at it. No, it's not actually 9 a.m. It's 9 p.m. 9 a.m. on a Saturday is definitely family time, not Twitch time. Yeah, but the one question which is the most important to me is, do you have any feedback? So did do you like what I showed you so far? Are you excited for a 2.0 release? Are you planning to build your own plugins? I would love to create something like a community plugin repo where you could publish the cool stuff you create. And also the second question: did it make sense what I showed you? Let's see. This is the part of Twitch I am not yet familiar with. So I should see something like. Yes, but did you actually post a link? Because it looks like you're not allowed to share links. So I'm really sorry for my not knowing of Twitch, but it's my first time. Can I see these filtered messages anywhere? Oop. Ah, yes, there it is. It's blocking hyperlinks. So I would suggest that would it be possible to just provide the link to me via, let's say, Discord DM or whatever? Yeah, thanks. Next time I will be prepared. I promise. All right. Another question. Would it make sense for you, or would you be interested in having me stream stuff like a demo on how to implement such a plugin? Because I realized that it's actually really it's fun. I'm really enjoying this streaming stuff. So if it's of interest for you, I will try to prepare something. Maybe actually something which solves a problem currently unsolved in nut.js. Let's see. Maybe something about window management or whatever. All right, cool. So I would say let's call it a day, at least for me. I will still be available on Discord, whatever. If you have anything you want to share with me, feel free to do so, but I will stop streaming for now. Thank you very much for being part of my very first Twitch stream. It was really, really much fun. I really enjoyed it. So let's continue this. Oh, age is just a number. 14. That's crazy. It's been a long time that I was 14. Nah, 25 is still rocking. Don't worry. Yeah, I agree. Programming is indeed really, really much fun. I'm also enjoying it way too much. Yeah, but like I said, that's I would say it's not a not a problem related to your age, but more like you have to keep in shape. But yeah, I had knee surgery this year, so who am I to blame? Um, yeah, definitely considering it. Mm, but still, so contracting would still take up time. My ideal dream would be that actually companies who gain value from using Nut.js would do something like, yeah, actually start sponsoring the project. Because at the moment, so at least the past couple of weeks, I actually worked two jobs. So I had my 9 to 5 job, which I really enjoy, and after that, I had some family time, and then I worked way too long in the evenings. And in general, it's a bit of a problem because I mean people are happy that there are frameworks which are actively maintained and which provide value for them, but on the other hand, no one is is willing to support maintaining these things. Everybody is happy that people are providing stuff for free, but in essence, they do not actually value the time you put into. So that's kind of a bummer. And so, yeah, that's why I decided that I won't continue this game because I'm pouring way too much time and dedication into this project that I'm just not willing to play this game to not have my work actually valued. But well, that's a different story, I guess. So, all right, people, that's it. I'm heading out. If you want to keep chatting, we can continue the discussions on Discord. Yeah, that definitely. And I, I don't want to brag, but compared to robot.js, Nut.js provides way more capabilities, plus a nicer API, in my opinion. Please keep streaming. So if we continue streaming, then I will have to change to just chatting at the moment. Not sure how the regulations are. I mean, my IDE or my code editor is still open in the background, so I guess it's fair to stay. um, yeah, but it's an exciting journey. Let's see where this leads because I would really love to keep things going with Node.js, and I definitely see the potential because, well, as you already said, the competition within Node.js ecosystem is not that big. So it would also be a bummer if I would just stop maintaining it. Another thing that helps is, well, you people spread the word. Because I still have the opinion that everyone who is looking for some kind of desktop automation starts by looking for something robot and ultimately ends up at robot.js and then complains in the robot.js issues that it's no longer maintained and nothing is working. So spread the word. Let the people know that there's an alternative. Yes, there's also one more thing. I totally forgot. Where did we left off? One more thing I wanted to show. I totally forgot. Da-da-dum. So that is set. And now let's say center of target.png image resource. We have been fast enough. So you see, we have our image finder in place. And let's check what happens if we switch to node 17. Oh, nice, it still works. So the new and improved image matcher is compatible with every future node version. We do not have to provide specific bindings for any particular version. It is compatible with node 14, 16, 17, the next upcoming release, which will be 18, I guess, without having to recompile anything. That's pretty dope. Have you ever taken a look at Overwolf? No. What is Overwolf? Are you referring to this? Sharing and monetizing in-game apps and mods. Yeah, that's something I also realized. So I guess one of the largest user bases, or the largest part of nut.js users, is actually is actually botting some kind of game. Just ask the creators. So thanks for a hint. I will check it out. And am I coding in other languages? Yes. So in my day-to-day job, I'm also doing Java. But the nut.js ecosystem basically consists of a wild mixture of various programming languages. Contains a bit of C, a bit of, or no longer just a bit, but a larger amount of C++. Then there's Objective-C, Objective-C++, JS, TypeScript, quite a lot. A lot of shell scripting. So in total, the nut.js ecosystem is now consisting of 17 repos. And yeah, it takes a certain amount of time now to keep everything up to date. Yeah, at the moment it's 18.5K roundabout. But there have been crazy times. Let me show you something. And there have been crazy times. So it's no longer fully shown. I guess it was npm stats. What is that? Nope. npm stats. Oh, that's the one I was looking for. nut.js. Let's say you want to. I started it on around about August 1st, 2018. Today is the 11th of December 2021. Show charts. So peak weekly downloads for nut.js have been at around 130K. And in total we are at close to 2 million downloads. So not too bad, I guess. Still not conquering the world, but to be honest, I don't know. It just happened. I would love to have more in-depth tracking of npm download stats, but at the moment that's not possible. So I would really love to see where downloads are coming from, or maybe which country, whatever. But at the moment it's not possible. But I was pretty blown away when I noticed it. Over 150K downloads per week. But it was just a short spike. There is already. Let me check. Yeah, that's the correct one. So there's actually this mention of nut.js. So that's the ticket I asked on Discord, whether one would like to write a comparison, because I think it's kind of creepy if the maintainer of the other framework is answering this question. So if one of you guys would love to do it in a neutral way, so no bashing, whatever, then feel free to do so. And I also did answer quite a few tickets mentioning that there is an alternative. So like this here. But I guess the overall problem is that, so especially in English-speaking countries, the name of nut.js is seen rather funny, or more like a pun, because, well, you can understand it in a totally different way if you want to. But I guess the main problem is that the notion of a robot something is not limited to the JavaScript ecosystem, because a robot framework exists also, for example, in Python. And the Python robot framework is actually pretty well known. And try to make an auto login system to Minecraft. It worked until the cursor entered the Microsoft login window. I'm not 100% sure, but my first take would be that this is a security constrict, a security limitation. So, for example, you also can't auto close or auto confirm your Windows dialog regarding user elevation. So if you have this pop-up, whether you want to run an action as an administrator or not, that's something you can't automate. At least not with default settings, because Microsoft has a concept which is called secure desktop, if I remember correctly, which basically is a security mechanism which pulls the actual window inside its own desktop instance. So that's something I'm just rephrasing off the top of my head. I did some research a few months ago, and this means that your interactions are not received by the actual secure desktop. Yep, exactly. So that's the security mechanism to stop you from automating stuff or from keylogging stuff. And no, to my knowledge, at least not with any legal ways, there is no way to bypass this. Unless you turn it off in a user setting, but I do not recommend doing this, because it is there for a very good reason. Unfortunate for automation stuff, but beneficial for security. You could automate your system by physically moving your mouse. Have a little mechanical finger typing on your keyboard. Remote controlled via an Arduino. Don't think this would work as well, because the on-screen keyboard would also be in this secure desktop. But that's just my guess, so not sure about it. But to be honest, trying to circumvent security measures is not what I would like to discuss on this stream. So if you want to take it offline, feel free to do so, but let's keep it off the stream. Yeah, let me check. Discord, where are you? Let's go there. Okay. Makes sense. Unity testing. Branch, yes. Testing. Oh. It's getting late. Let's open code. Needs to be updated. Okay. Electron tests Unity. Now I have to head back to where's the chat? Well, let's take the default npm install. Damn it, I'm still on node 17. Let's switch back to 14. Oh, what do you mean, website? So you mean my personal website or the nut.js website? Yeah, URLs are still not allowed in chat. So yeah, that should be fine now. npm run file just to make sure. And then let's go electron test unity. And pretest should hook everything. Yeah. No. Install first. Now let's see, npm test. Oh, but it looks like resizing is not that good. Let's try again. The comment out render.js. Holy. How do I get out of this? So let's tab out. OBS. No, okay. Okay, so nut.js killing everything doesn't sound that good, but overall, awesome work. So really highly appreciated. That's definitely something I want to dig into in detail. So what are you using the template matcher for? Let's look at the code. Do you have any? Render.js. Okay, so my guess is so you're running the nut.js part in the render process, but at least to my understanding, what the way it is supposed to be, the electron way it is supposed to be would be something like const IPC renderer equals require electron. And then you would do something like async no set timeout, and then IPC renderer dot send channel something and a message, let's say should be an array, not sure, let's say we want to send run nut test, and on the main renderer in the main process you could then say app.on render or run nut test. I want to execute this callback, and inside this callback you would then do basically what you are doing here. So that should go into the main process, not into the render process. Because otherwise you would also be blocking the render process, which is not something we want to. Or not this way, because it's running async, but we could be blocking the render process. But yeah, if you want to, we can definitely hack on that a little together if you want to. So how does this Unity stuff work? So this is something you included, right? That's basically a compile output of Unity, compiled to WebAssembly, as it looks like. Okay, so that's the build output of Unity, which is, so you are building it for HTML5, and that's included in the repo. So it's not built on every test run. Yeah, but it definitely looks really awesome. So kudos to you. And also something worth mentioning. Today I did a libnut release, and I noticed that for the first time I am not the one with the most commits contributing to a release, but it was actually you. So congrats on that as well. And in general, thanks for sponsoring the project and contributing as well. Let me check. The Windows build got stuck again. Yeah, so let's see. Changelog. That one was you. That one was also you. And that one. Don't remember. But at least you're leading. Some changes. Let's see. Let's stash that stuff. Git pull. Nothing in the renderer. Okay, I guess we can remove that as well. I guess we have to follow this way, else if run nut test. Async callback. And the channel would be main. What do we have here? Screen. Regional search parameters in the region. And that was main. Okay. Okay. 0.07 is really low. Let's see how that works out. And let's say auto highlight true. You're overriding it, yeah. So, right. Let's see how that works. Okay, 7% chance to hit it is not that much. But let's try something. So that is the electron test, yes. Let's try it that way. Where's the import for the template matcher? Ah, now I get it. It's not on latest. But I will try to port it to latest develop. But most likely that's gonna happen when I'm done writing documentation and website updates for 2.0. Yep, so master is still 1.7. But once again, I know I'm repeating myself, but this demo is really cool. Okay, I will try. But for that we will have to stop sending stuff. Whoops. Electron local shortcut, did it break anything? That was not my intention. Let's use the brute force way. npm install. npmt. Did you push it already? Once again, pull. So that's definitely something to waste a little time with. So R will reset the position tracker. Okay, if you just write an relay toggle alt key. So you mean like this, and then say we can actually grab all that stuff from the package itself, region, key, and keyboard. And let's move that out of the way and say wait keyboard point. Press key, key dot, left, alt, and release key, right? So at least in theory, it sounds like this should work. Oop. That one has to go up here. Should be an IPC main. And else if run nut test. Format. And let's give it a little more time. And think one of the problems might be that the cursor was not within the window. It didn't capture. Let's try again. We didn't have any output, right? Oh, damn it. The log should be in the, not in the main. Pressing now, there it was. All right. I see what you mean. But this is something I will check out, I guess, tomorrow. So now I'm calling it a day for sure, because I had to get up early today. So once again, it was really nice talking to you. And I would be really happy if we could establish some kind of schedule to do this stuff more often. And to all the people who are here by accident, just stumbling over the stream, if you liked what you see, feel free to start the repository. It's, let's see, I think I can send messages to the chat, https github.com nut.js. Feel free to leave a star, spread the word that there's a Node.js desktop automation framework, which is really nice to use. And yeah, if you want to stick around on Twitch, feel free to follow this account and you will get notifications whenever this happens again. Yeah, and most likely on the weekends for me. All right, everybody, have a good night. Depending on where you are located. Maybe it's morning. I don't know. Is there anything else one can do on Twitch? Let's see. At least not that I know of at the moment. So, let's call it a day. Bye. Bye. Taking a few lessons in Twitch school now to be better prepared next time. All right. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.